changing directions a little bit and focusing a little bit more on your career,
Mhm.
what drew your interest to storyboarding? Pun intended.
Well, I'm a mid-career switch. I didn't start out in animation. I actually just broke in a month ago, so I'm super new. But I remember there was a point in time as an immigrant, there was a point in time where my family had felt established. It was no longer we are surviving, we have established ourselves. And I kind of felt that freedom of, oh, for the first time, I could actually now pursue what I want to pursue. Um, and not that I didn't like psychology, I loved it. It was a place that I thrived in, but I was always really curious about animation and storytelling. Storytelling, I think, is something that I just love and I'm drawn to. And so I think that's what led me to eventually do storyboarding. I went to school for 2 years. That first year was just building the fundamentals of drawing and draftsmanship. But then as I got to the higher level classes, I kind of just stumbled upon a class about for storyboarding. And in that room, I was like, oh my gosh, these are my people. And this is really fun. It's overwhelming, but I want to put my all into this. So I feel like I was really lucky in actually finding that career path very early on. It could have taken me 4 years, but I did it in two because I found it immediately.
That's really cool. And that's kind of like how I fell into my field. So I'm a designer, but I originally wanted to do video game design. All right, T, like I'm going to do video game design. This is what I want to do. And so during my interview, when I was telling them like what I was interested in, I'm more interested in like the user interface,
Mhm.
you know, not the coding, but like the character design, things like that.
Yeah.
They led me to new media. And then I would say about maybe my junior year, that's when I like just took a UI UX class. And that's when I knew like, this is what I want to
This
do.
is it.
I
Yeah.
love this. Oh my gosh. Like it's so yeah, I know exactly what that feels like. It's a good
Yeah.
feeling.
and
Um,
and it's like the stumbling upon that path, even like the exhilaration of that, like
yeah.
gave me way more momentum than, okay, this is where I'm gonna go. So it's
Mm-hmm.
different.
Like say like my whole life, I'm like, nah, I'm gonna make videos. What I'm gonna do, blah, blah, blah. Nope, websites.
Yeah.
um, so what events led to you working for Nickelodeon?
Yeah. Well, just to even give more context as to why I went to animation in the first place. So, along with that space of my family being established, it was also the same year when my brother passed away, my younger brother. So it was this like deep sense of like, I am tired and exhausted, and I need to find something for me. I need to invest in who I am. And at the end of that season, I was just like, gosh, I still love animation. This is the time to try it. And so I put everything, I in pursuit of emotional and mental health. I invested in myself and went to school at night. I was still working a 40-hour like job, but then on top of that, I did 20 hours of school because I was like, I need to refill this like soul that's so broken from the death of my brother. And then through that, I got into a storyboarding class. And then in the middle of that, the pandemic hit. So all of the classes went online. But I actually end up creating this small group of friends that functioned like a mini studio where we were like, okay, we're going to just keep creating as if we were a studio. We did it in the pacing of a studio. Every 5 to 6 weeks, a new episode. You're done with a new episode. So I crafted this group of a small group of storyboard artists where every 5 weeks we're pumping out new boards, new sequences, new stories. And we did that for a year. And then eventually, slowly, like this person got a job, this person got a job, and then I got a job. But we all kind of hustled because we knew that yeah, the pandemic wasn't really going to end any time, but we needed to continue. And for me, it was this like sense of community and then the sense of healing. So it became this perfect storm of like, okay, like, wow, like so much creativity is happening from the sense of loss of my brother and then the pandemic, but then finding this this class that was super interesting and fun for me. So
Well, I just want to say I'm so sorry to hear about your brother. Losing a family member is always so hard. And then on top of the pandemic and just dealing with the stress of all of that, I'm sure it's been very rough for you. But I'm really happy that you were able to find your passion in this and like keep creating even through all of this hardship. And I'm really excited to see some of your work. Like, I'm very excited. So our last question before our bonus question is, you chose the words driven, tenacious, and steady to describe yourself. Could you elaborate a little bit on that?
driven, I chose driven because I think I've just gone through so much life. Having immigrated, I've traveled the world, I've lost family, a close family member, just there's so much stuff that I've experienced where I've learned how to continually provide momentum for myself through those things. Or it's anytime I set my mind to something, I do it. It kind of comes from this drive of creating something from nothing as an immigrant. You kind of have to be, or one of the skill sets that I've picked up is to be driven because no one's giving no handouts. You gotta go get it. Because at the end of the day, your family depends on it. So I think that's where driven comes from. Tenacious is just that persistency of like, I think specifically even during quarantine, like there were many moments when I could have chosen to just kind of not do anything. And I did that many times when I just didn't have a lot in me. But there were also times when I just persisted and was very tenacious and be like, okay, we have, I wanna write this story in 5 weeks. I have to make certain choices to get me there. And I'm really the only one providing momentum for myself, especially during COVID quarantine. You don't, your structures of support, they're kind of not there, or they're not in places that they were before. And then so I had to provide my own momentum. And so I think that's where the tenacity of you got to pick yourself up. It kind of goes with that driven. But yeah, if you fall down, you got to pick yourself back up and be persistent. And then the last one was steady. Yeah, I think I think all of those pair really well together. I'm once I set my mind to things, I kind of become very mechanical, where I'm like, okay, I know I'm gonna do this at this time. We're gonna do it. I know I want to do something. We're gonna do it. And so I became, and that's just who I am. I like to maintain order. Not everyone's like that, but it's really helpful for me to organize information and utilize all my tool sets in the most. I'm a maximizer. I like to maximize what I have. And so, yeah, so I think that's how I became, or that's how steady became one of the words that I used. So